listening to the Narrative Podcast with Halsey Allen. The Narrative Podcast is changing the narrative one episode at a time.
Hello. Welcome to another edition of the Narrative Podcast. I am your host, Halsey Allen. The Narrative Podcast is the home of original people, the home of original people peace, the home of original people reciprocity, and a home of original people positivity. The Narrative Podcast promotes positive self-images about original people and original people culture. The Narrative Podcast promotes and endorses positive self-talk and positive portrayal of original people and original people culture. Welcome to the Narrative Podcast. Welcome all my narrators. I've been back. Been gone for a little bit. So I had gone so long. I know I said I was going to start doing them regularly again after my first hiatus. So this time, what happened was I had a loss in the family, and then some family that had been gone for quite a while and are now back to where I'm at, So I had to reconnect with them, spend some time with them, and also deal with a loss in the family. So we're going to chalk this second hiatus up to, family stuff. So, anyway, welcome to the Narrative Podcast. I've got to reconnect with you. So basically what this podcast is about upliftment and edification of original people, and by original people I mean Black, African American, Negro, whatever you want to call us. It's for the upliftment and edification of our people, because our people images and the likenesses are constantly being warped, skewed, and distorted by the media. And so I wanted to create a platform where I'm showcasing and highlighting us in the best possible light possible to capture who we are as a people, our true essence, which is kings and queens, gods and goddesses of the universe. I wanted to create a safe space for us, and give us an alternative to, the ratchetness that's floating around in the media about us. So we don't have to constantly just accept these negative stigmas and stereotypes about our people and our culture, and ultimately on a subconscious level act out these negative stigmas and stereotypes, because we're constantly being bombarded with them by the media. But that's essentially what the Narrative Podcast is about. I'm gonna give you a brief overview before diving into the content this evening. So like I said, I've been gone for quite a while, and for quite a while I've been gone, some negative stuff has been happening, but the internet makes the world small. So the stats say I'm not reaching a lot of people, but I'm reaching a lot of people, because the mission statement of the Narrative Podcast is to put out, promote, and endorse positive content. And so we have been having a lot of negative anti-inflammatory content when it comes to about the way the media uses our people's images and our people's likenesses to promote degeneracy. So Said all that to say, my mission statement is to put out positive content, and in my hiatus, mostly positive content has been coming from content creators. Whereas before I started doing this, we didn't get anything but negative content. People was like embracing the negative stereotypes and the negative stigmas about our people and our culture. And since I've been away in this last month, I've been seeing a lot more positive stuff. So I am making an impact, and I know who messes with me. And for all the people that mess with me, I'm back. I just life happens, and so life was life. And had some family issues, but I'm back to my regularly scheduled program. So, all right. Before diving into the content, I'm gonna give you a brief overview of what my program is about, all the misnomers that you need to be aware of when listening to the Narrator podcast, my mission statement, what I'm trying to accomplish in this space, and the format of my podcast. So how I'll be presenting the content. I'm going to tell you what the content is about, how I'll be presenting, and everything you need to know about the podcast to be an effective patron of the podcast. So, starting off at the top, Tippy the name, the Narrator podcast, the name my podcast, the Narrator podcast, to reflect, my mission statement, which is to reverse the false narrative that the media keeps on, pushing about our people and our culture. And the false narrative that they keep pushing is ignorance, violence, degeneracy, laziness, that whole lot. So I want to create a platform where I'm highlighting us and capturing us at our best moments instead of our worst ones. Because the media always captures us at our worst possible moment. They're always capturing us, down bad, engaging in violence against one another, engaging in degenerate type behavior. They never show us, us doing something positive, treating each other with respect and dignity. They only want to capture the fights. They only want to capture us, doing negative things that will shorten our lifespan, not increase our lifespan, increase our prosperity, increase our happiness. They always just want to capture all the negative things about our people and our culture. So, it's just like, it's too much at times. And, we as a people kind of accept these negative stigma and stereotypes, and people outside of our culture has grown to accept these negative stereotypes and stigmas about our people and our culture. So, what the Narrative podcast is about is dedicated into bringing it back into focusing the lens on who we are as a people, and promoting positivity within our community instead of destruction and chaos. So that's my mission statement. And here, it's some misnomers about the Narrator podcast, which is actually a perfect segue to my tagline for the podcast. the Narrator podcast, changing the narrative one episode at a time by destroying negative stereotypes about original people and original people culture. How do I destroy the negative stereotypes and stigmas about our people and our culture? By providing positive frames of reference about our people and our culture. So, that's entirely what the Narrative podcast is all about, providing positive frames of reference about our people and our culture. And also to bring awareness to the listening audience of why it's important, and encouraging the listening audience to, do the same, do exactly what I'm doing, which is to responsibly utilize your platforms to promote positivity about our people and our culture, because the media's job, their goal, their key function is to keep havoc and confusion in our community. It's like that's kind of what their key function is, dedicated towards doing, is to just keep on promoting and endorsing negative behavior. With the few exceptions, I would say, like an exception to that rule would be like 60 Minutes. They had some really good segments on 60 Minutes, especially at the time of Ed Bradley, when Ed Bradley was on 60 Minutes. And then also, Good Morning America, they really have a whole lot of segments where, capturing when our people is doing something positive and impactful in the community and in the world. So, there's a few, exceptions to the rule, but mostly the media, their primary function is to capture us in the worst possible light they possibly can, to make us seem and appear violent, hostile, and unpleasant to be around. So yeah, that's why the Narrative podcast exists, is basically to, counteract, the media's agenda. So, first misnomer you need to be aware of the Narrative podcast is I refer to my listening audience as my narrators. And what I mean by that, what the term narrator is reflective of, basically the times that we're living in, which is basically the digital media age. And this digital media age, everybody gets the opportunity to tell or narrate their own stories. All these digital media platforms, and social media platforms, they basically have a section where, they have like a bio section. Like whoever created the platform, they usually come with the bio section. In the bio section, what you're doing is you're sharing with the world or whomever is viewing your content, your likes, your dislikes, your hobbies, your interests, your views, whether it be your social views, your economic views, what you promote, what you endorse, what makes you, you. And generally what people tend to do in their bio section and the content that they share is they share, content, and they put things in their bio that will reflect themselves in the best possible light as possible. So essentially, living in this digital information age, you can be whatever you want to online. And people generally put out the best possible versions of themselves. So when they're telling or narrating their own stories, they're putting out the best possible versions of themselves. In the hip hop slang, they call it cap, where it basically means you're exaggerating. But if you're going to exaggerate, you might as well exaggerate in a good way. Like I said, it's exception to the rule, because some people are just miserable people, and some people, if they're down bad, they want to make their situation worse than what it really is. But for the majority of the people that engage in this digital information, they want to put out the image that they're living their best life. They want to promote positivity. They want to, hey, I'm living the best life. I got the most money. I got, I'm doing so good in life. I'm so happy. And, this, that, and the third. And it's not necessarily a bad thing to put out, positivity, because when people view your page, like attracts like, you want to circulate and promote positivity, especially if you're branding or content creating. You want to put out positive images to build your brand, to broaden your horizons, because nobody intentionally gets online seeking negative things. We kind of get negative things just thrown at us, and we have to look at it. But generally, when people get online, they're looking for something to, lift their spirits, to alter their mood in a positive way. Nobody intentionally seeks negativity. So that's my message. That's why I call my positive listening audience my narrators. Just, being reflective of the times that we're living in, and also bringing awareness as to why we need to tell or narrate our own stories. And we need to tell and narrate our own stories because, if history hasn't taught us anything, it's taught us this: if you don't tell your own story will be told for you. And that's precisely what the media is doing to our people. They're telling our story from the perspective that they want to tell our story. And the perspective that they want to tell our story, when it comes to our people, original people, I get to the original part in a second, is the story of ignorance, is the story of violence, is the story of degeneracy, lewdness, is the story of laziness, is a story of all around unpleasantness. Everybody wants to be black, but then nobody wants to actually be black, if that makes any sense. Is because the way the media has marketed our people to the rest of the world. And, contrary to their portrayal of us, black is where it's at. We're leading in arts and sciences. We highly excel in academia. And then, of course, we already know anything athletic, we already know we dominating that. Culturally, the arts, music, acting, essentially we are the world's varieties of spice of life, and we're like the spiciest people in the world. Pause. I don't know if that's a pause moment, but you gotta cross your I's and dot your T's these days. So. But anyway, just saying, our people generally enhance all aspects of life. But yet we're always portrayed by the media as, being a burden, being, taken away from the human experience in this physical plane. Adding chaos and confusion in, every space we occupy. Not bringing balance and order and joy and happiness and, enlightenment, which is the true nature of our people, but yet we're always, displayed engaging in something messy. But anyway, essentially that's why I refer to my people as narrators, and that's, why I want to bring awareness to the listening audience of why it's important to, especially our people, of why it's important to properly utilize your digital space to, tell our story or narrate our story. All right, so now that you're aware of why I call my listening audience my narrators, something else you should know. Well, I want to tack on a sub-point about the media before I go on to something else, some more misnomers about the Narrator podcast you should be aware of before consuming the content, how to properly take in what, I'm sharing with you. So like I said, the media has an agenda to negatively share our images and our likenesses to the rest of the world. They primarily do it for profit, but generally it's because they're going along in stride with the agenda, with the people that runs the media. And who runs the media? The media is ran by the elite society, the upper class elite society, aka, wealthy white people, wealthy white socialites at that, elitist society, and they do that to they control images, basically to strengthen and cement their social standings in the world. They want to control all the resources, and to do that they have to basically make their lifestyle, make how they live be, the pinnacle of prosperity. Basically, they want to make themselves the image, the face of sophistication, refinement, elegance, grooming, class, all the finer things in life. Air quotes, all the finer things in life, they want to be the face of that. And to be the face of that, they have to make everybody else, who isn't in their tax bracket appear, less than that. Less than refined, less than elegant, less than sophisticated, less than cultured, less than intelligent. So in order to do that, they manipulate the media. They want to make everyone else look, like uncultured swine. They want to make everybody look degenerate in nature in comparison to them. So they want to be the face of financial wealth. This is like what financial wealth is supposed to be by the elite society. You know, these people who live life in excess. Another word for their kind is, I guess, is capitalists. People who's just all about money, and they equate money to happiness. So basically, they want everybody to believe, you know, you need a mansion to achieve happiness in life. You need designer clothing to achieve happiness in life. You need to own acres and acres of land to be happy in life. You need like generational wealth. You need it. You know what I mean? Not just like keeping in stride what money's really a tool to craft the type of life you want for yourself. But they just they want everybody to believe you have to be just obscenely financially wealthy to be happy and prosperous in life. And to do that, they use the image or the media's influence to, you know, warp and distort everyone else's images and likenesses who aren't in their tax bracket and who don't embrace, you know, their views about life. So yeah, they do it to everybody, but they primarily do it to our people, original people. And I told you I'll get to original part a little bit later before I dive into the content, I promise. But they primarily do it to our people the most out of everybody else because they fear our people more than they fear everybody else. And the reason why they fear our people the most is for a couple of reasons. They fear our influence. They fear how, you know, the rest of the world basically copies off of us and tries to emulate us and be like us. They're fearful of that, meaning because they're natural historians, they know the you know, the history of how they came to be, and they know the history of how we came to be, and then their, you know, scholastic findings, they know if there never was a us, there never would be a them. You know, they created all these systems, they created all these stat quos to basically keep themselves in power. To keep themselves in power, they surround themselves with these status symbols so that they can socially tower above everyone else, to make themselves feel important, to make themselves feel cultured, to make themselves feel valued and, you know, high class and high, you know, and elite. But why they're so fearful of us is our impactful nature. They know our past, they know their past. So they know they came to be solely because they were so fearful of us. They were so fearful of us because, you know, the impactful influence we have over everyone that comes into contact with us. So everybody tries to emulate us, and so, you know, who they are, their true nature are, you know, thieves, robbers, liars, rapists, conquerors who, you know, take things by force and assert themselves forcefully and, you know, assert themselves in a manipulative manner. Whereas our true nature is like, you know, regal. We're just naturally regal. We are connected with nature. So surround ourselves with beautiful things, but we don't need the beautiful things that we surround ourselves with. Our true nature is just beauty. And that threatens them because we don't, we just naturally obtain the finer things in life without, lying, without, trying to be something we're not, and basically, we are a natural people. Out of everybody on the planet, we are the most connected with nature. And we know, for those who are tapped in with the true nature of who we are as a people, we know we don't need all them status symbols to, be important. So that's why elite society surrounds themselves with all these status symbols, and the status symbols like, high, like the sports cars, the mansions, the mansions with the east wing and the west wing, and all that 5-star preferential treatment. You don't need that in order to be happy in life. It's cool to experience it. If you have it, it's cool, but it's not the end all be all in life. And our people symbolizes, the end of that. Because people gravitate and try to emulate us in every capacity, and they'll wake up and say, hey, I don't need to buy this $1,200 shirt just because I have $1,200 in my pocket. I don't need to buy this $100,000 car just because I have $100,000 in my pocket. I don't need to spend money just because I have money. And that would ultimately come to, the end of their way of life. Because the end of their way of life is to, generate sales, to, manipulate the stock market, and they basically represent mass consumerism. And, if everybody follows our lead, follows, our example, that will bring the end to mass consumerism. The elite society is all about, mass consumerism. And, our people, symbolize the end of that, because we don't need all those things to, be important, to be trendy, to be popular. We don't need any of those things. Yet they use our images and our likenesses to sell all of those things. And we get nothing back in return, but, that's why they pick on our people the most. That's why they spend so many trillions of dollars tarnishing our reputations. That's why they spend so many trillions of dollars making us look as bad as they can possibly make us look. That's why they spend so many trillions of dollars into corrupting our images and our likenesses, to promoting, negative stereotypes and stigmas about our people. They want everybody to believe, the media influence of us, like the men in our community, to be, criminalistic by nature, gangbangers by nature, thugs by nature, unintelligent by nature. They want us, they want to promote, they want to fear monger the images of our men. And then they want to defile the images of our women. They want to make them look aggressive in nature, like they always just by nature have an attitude. By nature, they want to make them look unsophisticated, unrefined. They want to promote and push lewdness and degeneracy. They want to promote, that twerking culture. They want to, that unladylike image of our sisters. That's what they want to push and promote. Those loose morals, dressing like basically coming out the house butt naked, only some dental floss, separating them from their entire nudity, no sophistication, no decorum. That's what they want. That's the images and the likenesses that they want to push and promote for our sisters. And, like they want to push and promote that they have, no redeeming qualities. They got attitudes and, they try to overtake the every conversation they're in. And, they basically just want to push and promote things that aren't true within our community, to have everybody outside of our community not deal with us, and definitely everybody outside of our community not really try to emulate us, like emulate our true nature anyway, which is, regal, which is people that aren't dependent on status symbols to be important, to be impactful and profound. But that's just a little tidbit that I want to tack on why, the elite class use the media to distort our images and our likenesses. And I just wanted to, make sure we're clear on the inherent agenda of why they do that. So now that we got that out the way, go on to some more misnomers you need to know about the Narrator podcast before diving into the content. So first and foremost, this is a safe space for original people. And I already told you why. I don't promote any gossip, slander, negativity of any kind. I just, I share positive frames of reference about our people and our culture. The Narrator podcast is all about upliftment and edification of original people and original people culture. I don't promote, endorse gossip. I don't have, personally, I don't have any need for it. I can't eat it or wear it or live in it. It's useless to me. I don't care who's dating who. I don't care about what celebrity is dating what celebrity, what type of messiness they're engaged in their personal life, off, screen, if they're an actor and an actress. I don't care what they're doing, like off, if they're an athlete, off the field, off the football field, off the basketball court. I don't care what they do in their personal life. If they're an athlete, I don't care what they do out of the studio. If they're recording artists. So yeah, I don't trivialize about celebrities and famous people, their personal lives, and the media has corrupted us into, being sucked into that world where we're using the media to basically, trash each other online and say negative things about each other and use our platforms to basically destroy one another. Create gossip, hurl insults, and basically try to take each other down. And for what? For some tractions, for some likes, some clicks, So what the Narrative podcast is dedicated towards doing is just about upliftment and edification of our people, and to promote positivity and to normalize being normal. And what do I mean by normal? Like, normal for our people, the true nature, the true essence of who we are as a people is love. So, walk in love, be dignified, and be united as a people. not divided, not nothing divisive about our people. Like, we're all unified. We all, we all have our unique differences. We all have our unique perspectives, how we view life and how we conduct our own lives. But pretty much by nature, we all walk on one accord. We all have an unspoken bond. By nature, we shouldn't be, corrupt and at each other's throats and, always trying to do something negative to one another. We should be building each other up. We should be helping each other any way possible. We should be sharing resources. We should be rooting for each other to win, not praying for each other's downfall. That's what the Narrative Podcast is all about. I don't, use this space to promote negativity, to hurl and slander, hurl insults and slander. However, this is also, not only is this a place of upliftment, edification, this is a place of truth. So when one of us, is intentionally utilizing their platform to be negative and to cause controversy for monetary gain, I will call said individual out. With extreme prejudice. But other than that, I don't do any name dropping. I don't try to attach my name to certain things or certain people for traction and clickbait and all that. If I ever bring up a famous person's name, it's really just to cement the overall point that I'm trying to make on this platform, and the overall point that I'm always trying to make is us first. So yes, we have negative things in our community. Yes, we do have crime. Yes, we do have violence. Yes, we do have things that we need to work on as a people. Our issues. We know what our issues are. But, if I ever bring up a famous person's name, it's just to illustrate the why. And why anything negative in our community generally happens is because we've been programmed and conditioned by the powers that be, and I already explicably went over who the powers that be are, elite society, and what their agenda is. We've been programmed mentally. That's their control over the media. Is basically like psychological programming and conditioning, because we're hearing it, their agenda, we're hearing and seeing it, we're being programmed by the powers that be. We're hearing it in the music, we're seeing it in the movies, in the network television programming, in the advertisements, in the literature that we're reading, the books, like how, they want our images and our likenesses explored. We're absorbing all that negativity. So we're being programmed and conditioned by the powers that be. So anytime something negative happens in our community, just know we've been programmed and conditioned to act or react in that negative type of manner. So, like if I ever bring up a famous person's name, it's just really to cement the why factor. And the why factor that I always, use to point out is, we've been programmed and conditioned by the powers that be, and this is why that happens. So anytime I'm usually covering celebrity news, I'm covering it from that perspective. I'm unpacking it from that perspective, not, the wave ride or try to make my brand relevant through whatever hot button issues going on in the world. So that's that. That's one misnomer. Something else you need to be aware of, this is a time-sensitive platform. I try not to exceed 1 hour per broadcast. And the reason why, I just want to, I'm an all audio platform, that's first and foremost. So I don't want to bore my listening audience to sleep. I want to keep it fresh and innovative as possible, and I can't do that, if I just have stagnant content. So I want to keep you captivated as long as I'm speaking. It also prevents myself from talking in circles and droning on and on, because I want, my message to be clear and concise, and I don't want to trail off and lose people and just turn you off from wanting to listen. I don't know if you all grew up with the Peanuts, the T-shirt. Wah, 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 wah. That's how anybody sounds like if they're just talking for an excessive amount of time and they're not really talking about anything. So I try to give myself a time limit. I try not to exceed 1 hour per broadcast. I try not to exceed 1 hour per broadcast, and that's how I try to keep it fresh and innovative as possible. Yeah. So I basically have a set time. My weekday format differs from my weekend format. I broadcast typically during the weekday and then on the weekend. The two formats are different, but they're both timed. I try not to exceed 1 hour. Ideally, I try not to go over 45 minutes during the weekday broadcast. Yeah. So that's, another misnomer about the Narrator podcast. It's time sensitive. I don't want to hold you all day long. You don't have to clear your entire schedule to catch up on the episode of the Narrator podcast. You don't, have to clear your entire schedule to be up to speed with the content that I'm presenting to you. I don't want to shield over people's heads. I don't want to, and then I also don't want to dumb myself down. And so, finally, last but not least, in essence, to preserve who we are as a people, our true nature as a people, I refer to our people on this platform as original people. And I do that for two reasons. The first reason is to be reflective of the origin of original, like to be reflective of our true nature. I refer to our people as original, to be reflective of our true nature and to be historically accurate. Because historically, we were and are the original people of this planet. We were here thousands of years before anybody. You name a person, the ethnicity and nationality, we was here first. We existed long before everybody, and that's just a fact. You can prove it, all kinds of ways. You can prove it with genetics. You can prove it, with architecture. You can prove it, with ancient writings and tablets and whatever. We was here first. We were like the first people to exist in this physical plane. So that's one reason why I refer to our people as original people, to be reflective of, historically, to be historically accurate. And more, a couple sub points I want to tack on to that. Not only is it historically accurate, being first, means like everything was derived from us first, meaning like not only was everything derived from us first, we pretty much invented everything first as well. Like whatever modern day invention we have, if you know, do the knowledge, do the history, you can see there was an ancient form of whatever, you know, exists here in modern day. Thousands of years before whatever modern day convenience we now have, there was like an ancient form of it, and it was invented by us. Now, speaking here in America, us being the original architects and inventors, like we pretty much, everything in the Industrial Revolution that they teach us in school in history, you know, what they're not teaching us, that we was the original, you know, architects and inventors of everything. So every modern day invention, air quotes, an American inventor invented was a lie, because most all of them owned slaves. So the slaves invented pretty much everything. And to mask the deed of stealing the slaves' inventions, they created the U.S. patent system. So all these people in the history books that say they invented this and that, they didn't invent anything. They just really just stole it from a slave and put their name on it to be recorded in history, because that's what they do. That's what they do. You know, but everything really came from us originally. With our existence in this world, we invented everything. We invented the spoken language, written language. Everything was derived from us. Nothing existed before we existed. And being the original inhabitants of this physical plane, I want to quickly point out, you know, another false narrative that keeps on getting recorded in history, inaccurately in history at that. Slavery. You know, the powers that be, they want to push and promote slavery. They want to make slavery the most poignant, relevant time of our existence, especially for those that live here in America. Couple things. So the transatlantic slave trade wasn't the most crucial era of our existence, because like I said, we as the original people, we existed thousands of years before everybody. So just scientifically knowing that we was here before everybody, did you think we was just all existing in one point of origin? Did you just think the original people that inhabited this physical plane, that we only existed in Africa? Do you not think that we also existed in the continent of Asia? Do you not think we existed in the continent of Europe, which actually by definition isn't a continent, because a continent is a landmass surrounded by a body of water. Europe is a peninsula, but, you know, whatever. Do you not think we existed in Europe? Do you not think we already existed in Australia, in the UK, in Holland, in Finland, in, like, you know, in India, the Middle East? We existed. There was large concentrations of us. We was the first persons here. So said all that to say, We didn't get to all these other places on slave boats. We was already there. So while transatlantic slave trade did happen and it was real, they did transport Africans to different parts of the world forcefully, unauthorized forcefully, and did horrible, horrendous things to them. Being an original people, we was already there. We already existed pretty much everywhere. There's no such thing as an Afro anything. There's no such thing as an Afro Latino. There's no such thing as a, like, Afro Cuban, Afro Colombian. Those was the original people already inhabiting those lands. The colonizer came in and, put their spin on it, put their name on it. There's no such thing as an Afro Asian, no such thing as an Afro this, Afro that. It was just the original inhabitants of that land, and the original inhabitants of all land masses were dark in nature, darkly complected in nature, possessing high concentrations of African DNA. That's just a false narrative that they keep on pushing, is that we all came from slavery, and we did not all come, through the transatlantic slave trade. We already exist in every single corner of the globe that you can think of. And they really did a number on us here in America. We are the original indigenous natives of this, landmass. You can read Christopher Columbus's diary. You can read Miles Standish's diary. The Pilgrims, the rape, the Indians, we was the Indians. He didn't say the red people in his diary. He said the black people that lived here. But yet, these fair-skinned people that sit on these tribal councils, in order for us to get the money, we have to prove our lineage, and we was the original people. So, I just wanted to clear up that misconception of slavery. So why it was real, and it was, it harmed our people and divided our people. All of us didn't come through this transatlantic slave trade to get to all these different ports. We already existed before, the slave trade. We was already living in all these different places. Just more of us came through, through the transatlantic slave trade, through chattel slavery. But for the most part, we already existed, especially here in the Americas, because less than 40% of us came from Africa. And then another mic drop moment is where was Africa originally located before the colonizers drew the map? Because to go to the heart of it, to true indigenous people, you got to go, do the geography of it. Keep in mind that this world changed several times throughout history. Land masses changed several times throughout history. So what was Africa before the colonizers called it Africa? Where was Africa before the colonizers said it's over in one specific spot? Because many believe this was Africa, and there's all, kinds of evidence pointing to it. But that's a different debate in the intellectual community. But this, particular platform is just basically to broaden everybody's horizons about original people and original people culture. So that's just one reason why I refer to our people as original people. You know, on the historical side of it, the next reason is because, you know, being original people, there are many different types of us located in different, you know, regions of the world. You know, we all have different beliefs, value systems. We are refer to ourselves by, you know, whatever nationality, whatever religion. But one thing that we all have in common as a people, you know, is that we're original people, which means we have, you know, high concentrations of carbon, aka melanin, and we can all trace our lineage back to the original point of origin for all civilization. So, you know, whatever differences we got going on, we are original. So that's, you know, the second reason why I refer to our people as original people here on the Narrative Podcast is to unify us as a people. We can get into it, who deserves the reparations later. But, you know, that's why I refer to our people as original people here on the Narrative Podcast. I think I cleared everything up. If you're still kind of, you know, in a gray space about what I'm trying to do here, I'm over 300 episodes in. So even though it's been quite a while since I did a recent upload, you know, you got nearly 400 episodes to bring yourself up to speed on the Narrative Podcast. Know my content platform is growing. Know that I am having a positive impact on the rest of the world. You know, stats do lie, but I know and you know my impact and my relevance with my message that I got. You know, that my circle is growing, that more and more people are listening and gravitating and responsibly using their platforms to, you know, share positive content about our people and our likenesses, which is the overall mission statement of the Narrative Podcast, is to get everybody sharing positive content and going out and impacting the world in a positive way, representing our communities in a positive way, representing our images, our overall images and our likenesses online in a positive way. That way, you know, that way it'll be less likely we'll be portrayed in a negative light. Because, you know, even though the media is ran by a wicked, evil entity with a wicked, evil agenda, the overall agenda of it is just basically, you know, it's business, it's supply and demand. They can't put out negative content if we don't create the need for the negative content. And we create the need for the media's negative content by participating in it, by blindly participating in the negative content. We blindly participate in, you know, gangbang culture. We blindly participated in, you know, criminalistic culture like violence, gun violence culture. We blindly participate in that by reposting it, sharing it online. For our sisters, y'all blindly participated, participate in the negative portrayal of y'all's images and likenesses. Y'all blindly participate in the degradation of, you know, black women, posting ratchet content, participating in ratchet content, twerking. You know, when you're doing your vacay, there's one going viral right now. Some sisters in uh, um, like a sacred like place. I think it's somewhere in Africa, and they sitting up there twerking on the burial mound. So when y'all do stuff like that, y'all are blindly participating in thought culture. You know, flashing your nudity online just for attention and likes. You know, the exception to that rule is like if that's, you know, what you are. If you are an exotic dancer or you are an adult film star actress, you know, then that makes sense. But if you're doing it just to be doing it, just for attention, just for likes, you know, you're participating in the agenda of thought culture, of horror culture. So to break that cycle, what we got to do as a people is, you know, narrate our own stories in a positive way is what I do here on the Narrator podcast. I play up, you know, stories about us excelling academically, leading the charge in entrepreneurialism, you know, advancing financially, building our communities, teaching our children, taking care of our elderly, solving our own problems, and networking as a people, working together to solve our own issues. Just all things positive is what I do here on this platform, and I encourage my listening audience to do the same. And so, you know, that's what we all need to be doing online. I'm not trying to police anyone else's content. If you are like a gossip columnist or whatever, you know, even in that space, you can still be positive. Because while the 90% of your content is, you know, geared towards gossip, you can still like do a segment, a 30-minute segment of where you're highlighting something positive in the community, somebody doing something positive, somebody being impactful in the community, you know, bridging the gap, you know, breaking barriers, breaking these stereotypes. So, you know, we can all just, you know, wisely utilize our platforms to put out positive content. So I think you're aware of all the misnomers. Like I said, I'm nearly 400 episodes in. Anything you're hazy on, just go back in my episode log. But that's the Narrator podcast in a nutshell. So, having said all that to say, let's dive on into the content that I have this evening, soon to be morning. I'm on a mission statement to do as many weekday episodes as possible. So just know when I'm like MIA, it's kind of just like either life is life in, like I got some family issues, you know, I injured myself, or I just plain over don't feel like doing one. But yeah, that's the only time you just won't be hearing content from me. Other than that, you know, be expecting uploads of the Narrator podcast. And I try to broadcast, you know, during the weekday and the weekend. So, you know, you want to keep your ear in podcast land all throughout the week so that you don't miss the newest episode of the Narrator podcast. But anyway, this is a weekday edition of the Narrator podcast. I'll be doing a Saturday edition in a few hours. But yeah, probably late Saturday evening I'll be uploading, be prepared to get the Saturday edition Saturday evening. This is like late Friday, but this is a weekday edition. And what I tend to do on my weekday editions to keep in stride with my objective of the Narrator podcast, and my objective is to share positive frames of reference about our people and our culture. The positive frames of reference that I share about our people and our culture come in the form of positive news articles accompanied then by commentary. I commentate on things going on around the world, within our community, and like the reason why I do that is to control the narrative, because the media go out of its way to, have us looking and sounding crazy. So what I do, when I deliver my commentary is basically to bring it back into focus, unpack it from our perspective, whatever's going on, either nationally, globally, or something specifically happening within our community, just kind of breaking that down. But anyway, this is a weekday edition. I got some positive news articles for you. And the reason why I do that is because, the media constantly bombards us 24 hours a day with negative news, always showing us down bad, always showing us disenfranchised and downtrodden, never showing us winning, never showing us doing well in life, never showing us helping one another. Like I said, that's a form of psychological warfare when they do that. So to balance that out, I want to show the rest of the world positive things do happen within our community. It's just not really publicized. So that's the purpose of the positive news article. I'm publicizing positive things happening within our community. So having said all that, let's get things underway. But before that, we got there's a bit of business to handle. We just lost one of the most prolific actors of our time. He's kind of like, there'll never be another one of his caliber. He was just so commanding and dynamic in everything that he appeared in. Before moving forward with the content, gotta acknowledge the recent passing of a veteran actor that didn't get nearly enough accolades in life for his extensive body of work spanning over 3 decades in Hollywood. Man was 91 years young when he passed, so when he transitioned, we got to take a moment of silence for the one and only brother, Mr. Bill Cobb. So Bill Cobb was, a dynamic actor. This generation, where we'll probably mostly want to remember him for, is his role in, the movie hit movie, early '90s movie, New Jack City, which was based on the crack epidemic in New York City in the '80s. But that's one of his most definitive roles, in where he basically unalived the what is it? I always get these mixed up. I guess Wesley Snipes' character was the Wesley Snipes' character was the main antagonist of that movie, and he basically attempts to, or does, unalive him. It's been a while since I watched New Jack City, but his character, he was an elderly gentleman in the series. he basically tried to stop Wesley Snipes' character, Nino Brown, from selling drugs in the community. He approached him and, let him know as an elder, what you're doing is wrong. You need to stop doing that. You're corrupting the youth. And, he had his, team, like, pretty much beat him down for standing on truth. And, at the end of it, because he was, like, elderly and anyway, he's like, he didn't really care nothing about his own life, but you're not going to just keep on, being that person and continuing the cycle of destruction. So to end that, I got to end you, and that was like why that his role was so dynamic and impactful. Because if we had more of those characters, like real life characters in our community, a lot of things that happen in our community wouldn't happen. People to just stand on truth and really don't care about their own lives, but to bring about order. And at some point, we're going to have to get like that to propel ourselves forward. I mean, like some people call it vigilante, being a vigilante or whatever. But in our community, to handle our own business without having law enforcement do it, we're going to have to get to that stage. But, that was one of his most impactful and dynamic roles. Some other like TV stuff, I guess he was in like Northern Exposure. That was some mayonnaise stuff. Another television show he was in is like Herman's Head. That won all kinds of awards when it was in syndication, when it was on Fox. He had a string of blaxploitation films. One of the biggest in the 70s that he was in was The Hitters. But like I said, I'm not going to run down the man's resume, but a dynamic actor. He just had that balmy voice. His presence was like real, just assertive in everything he played in. So, of course, towards the 80s and 90s, most of it, I think he got typecast as just like a cantankerous old man. But he was a cantankerous old man, usually with a message. He wasn't just, just a grumpy old man because he was grumpy. It was like always a reason behind it in all the characters that he played. But like I said, one of his most impactful roles was, New Jack City, and why that was needed in the movie to kind of push that storyline with what Mario Van Peebles was trying to do in that movie. Just shine a light from all the perspectives, like, everything we're all an essential puzzle piece in the grand scheme of things, and that was his piece in that movie. But before diving into the rest of the content, we're going to give our brother Bill Cobb a moment of silence, and then we're going to get into these news articles. All right, rest in power to brother Bill Cobb, and Narrator Podcast, sending love, light, and healing energy to all his friends, families, and associates, and anybody who was connected to him in life. So yeah, now diving on into the first article of this evening, soon to be morning. Headline reads, African American teen real estate broker from Plaquemine, I think it's pronounced Plaquemine, Louisiana, earned 6 figures. And the young sister's name is Shakira Scott. Shakira was motivated to become a real estate broker by following in her mother's footsteps, who was a real estate broker. She got her license at 18. So she graduated a year early to achieve this. She is now currently a fully licensed estate broker and a full-time student at LSU, majoring in marketing. She makes over $10,000 a month. Her goal is to build duplexes in Plaquemine, Louisiana, and she's currently one of the leading social media influencers online. Her TikTok is averaging 25,000 followers and growing. So yeah, she's doing a lot in life. She also does the TED Talks and motivational speakers. She also has motivational speaking engagements as well. So yeah, she's doing a whole lot of positive things in life, and that's what I want to promote here on this platform and encourage other people that listen to this podcast to do the same on their platforms, to promote content like that, and not content, in stride with the negative stereotypes and stigmas that the media portrays about us. So this young sister at an early age wanted to make a difference in life, wanted to be a real estate broker, and got her path laid out because she knew about the importance of, owning your own land and building generational wealth. And only one sub point I want to tack onto that is that the elite society, that's primarily what they do, is they buy land and stuff. They surround themselves with all these status symbols, but the gotcha is they're not using that green paper money to do it. They're using credit, life insurance with living benefits, to basically, acquire all this land and all these properties, and they basically turn all their status symbols into, lucrative assets. So they might leave out the house just to be seen with them. They might drive that expensive car just to be seen with it. They might wear that jewelry just to be seen with it. But trust and believe, if they got insurance on it, their status symbols is earning them money. They're not just doing it, buying all these high pricey things just to be buying it. So it's earning them money. So the point said all that to say, anything as a community that we're doing, if it's not earning us money, what are we doing it for? And not saying money, of course, isn't the end all be all. Money is a tool. You shouldn't allow money to run you. You shouldn't compromise your morals and integrity for money and act outside of your character just to acquire money to buy things. But, you should be using money as a tool and wisely acquiring the things and make the things make you money so you can do more of the things that you enjoy doing in life. not being a slave to it, not, bowing down and worshiping these status symbols like the elite society does. But this young lady, she got it at an early age. She got it. That's what you need to do to, what is it called? Hacked it. That's her life hack early on in life, and she got it. So message received, and I know she's going to go on to, build to bring her vision to acquire these duplexes into fruition, and she's probably going to at some point build affordable housing and probably have her own institution where she's teaching young people or people of all ages the real estate game, what they need to know about how to become a successful real estate agent and acquire properties and acquire land and all that we do need to do at some point, at some juncture in life. So without any further ado, give our sister Shakira, join me into giving our sister Shakira Scott the warmest round of applause, Narrative Podcast round of applause for her accomplishment as a real estate agent at the age of 18. Because she could have been twerking and having the OnlyFans and all that, but nope, she a real estate agent. All right, next article of the weekday edition of the Narrator Podcast. The headline reads, "Woman once worked at Target now has her own clothing line in their stores." And the sister's name is Janice Taylor, if I'm pronouncing her name right. Jenice. Her passion for fashion started in high school while she was managing 200 Target stores. I just did the highlights. It was like, her career path was more complex than that. Obviously she went to college for marketing as well, and she had a plethora of jobs before that, but, I'm just doing the highlights. Like I said, I'm trying not to exceed 1 hour for the broadcast, and I did a lengthy intro. But she helped open Target's first small format store on the East Coast, and now has her own clothing line. And she is not only, the new face of Target, her apparel line at Target, but she's also, a social media fashion influencer. She's like one of the biggest in the game right now. Her social media handle is High Low Lux, and Lux with 2 X's, Luxxe. Her profile is set to private, so that's weird that she got thousands of followers, but her profile set to private. I guess she's under serious. She's operating under serious inquiries only for people that's trying to do what she did, doing like webinars and people interested in participating in webinars and sponsored content coming from her. But that's extremely important these days, to know how to utilize and navigate social media, because if you navigate it through the correct way, it could be more than just a passive stream of income. It could be the platform to everything that you're trying to do in life, and she's basically hacked that after the successful launch of her clothing line at Target. And not for nothing, Target kind of is like, it's Target and then it's Nordstrom. So like if you're a graphic design artist, that's where you want to, that, and then also Walmart too. But if you're an independent graphic design artist, that's where you want to have your merch, because those places cater specifically to us. Like, you're going to see Target, you're going to see like our brands in Target. It's a double-edged sword to it, so spoiler alert, it's going to be kind of attached to my speaking point after I'm done with the articles, but basically like Target's, Nordstrom, and Walmart. So if like you're an independent graphic design artist or doing apparel, that should be your goal, to like get your merch in Target or Walmart or Nordstrom, because those specific places have aisles dedicated to, you know, us. You know, we see representation in places like that, and places like that, they get it as, you know, supply and demand. So they're not with that, you know, that race stuff. They're all about the dollar. They're not going to do nothing foul like stick your brand, your face, something with your face way in the back where can't nobody see it. They're going to put it like right in the center aisle, and like put the, you know, they're going to try to get your, whatever you're bringing there sold out in the first week. But anyway, I said all that to say that she was aware of that, you know, aware of that marketing, aware of that positioning, and used that to bolster her social media presence. And now she's like kind of dominating social media. She does TED Talks. She got a YouTube channel. She's on every podcast you can imagine. She's hosted thousands of events. So let's give a warm narrative podcast round of applause for Janice Taylor, aka High Low Lux. All right, last article of this evening, soon to be morning. 12-year-old black girl from Florida makes history, graduates from high school. Elise Shelton, 12-year-old prodigy. She showed exceptional skills at reading by age 3, solving problems by age, solving complex math problems by age 4. She plans to attend community college, then transfer to Florida State University for pediatric training, and plans to go to medical school by that time she's age 17. So there she got her whole future mapped out. I got tons of articles that I've been accumulating since my hiatus, but those are just the ones that stood out in my mind the most, and those are the ones I'm sharing right now. And I'm, you know, challenging you all to do the same. Share positive content, put positive content out there on your platforms. Promote positivity to counteract negativity. Like, And one more misnomer I forgot to say about my podcast. It's never the intent, like, I don't exist. I don't care what people outside of our culture think about us. I'm not trying to or educate people outside of our culture about our people and our culture. The purpose of the Narrative podcast is to uplift and edify our people and our culture. By our, I mean original people, and original people culture, because at the end of the day, you can't change a made-up mind. They're going to believe what they want to believe, because a whole lot of people that call themselves not liking black people, it's like they're aware of our history, they're aware of the facts, they just choose in their minds not to like us for whatever reason. They even go one up and even hate us. So, it's not my intent to try to cater, to try to be the bridge, to try to, show them that we're not horrible people. It's just, I exist here for truth. Like, if you're going to tell our story, tell it correctly, tell it from the correct perspective of who we are as a people, which is kings and queens, gods and goddesses of the universe, not your nigga, not your bitch, not your thug, not your hoe, none of that. So, but anyway, I got a little long-winded. Basically what I was saying before I got off putting was the young sister, Elise, she understood the assignment at an early age. She buckled down, she studied, she picked her trajectory in life, hyper-focused, and, accomplished what she set out to do. And that's something we can all do when we sit down, unplug from the media, unplug from all these negative images and stereotypes and stigmas that we're bombarded with constantly. And it's easy to say you can pick your trajectory in life, you can choose your trajectory in life, and you can. You can be whatever you want to be in life, you can do whatever you want to do in life, but no, if you're an original person, aka a black person living in the world, especially here in America, there's intentional roadblocks set in front of you. We're exposed to psychological warfare. They're constantly bombarding us with the negativity in advertisements. Sometimes it's subtle, sometimes it's blatant. But, they're doing all these little psychological things that you really don't get a chance to unsee after you've seen it. You don't get a chance to unsee it. And when you're constantly exposed to it, it takes root in your psyche. And then on a subconscious level, you start to kind of enact what you've been exposed to. Your living circumstances are reflective of what you're taking to in your mind. So when you see one of us, original people, not operating at a certain level by a certain age, just know that psychological programming and condition played a large part of it. So while we are adults, full-grown adults, and we have to ultimately take accountability, take self-accountability, just know there is an inherent agenda against us. Just know that. Fortunately, this young lady was surrounded with positive influences, positive imagery, and, got steered into the correct, trajectory path and made a conscious decision what she wants out of life. She pursued it, she obtained it, and she's still going. So I do believe she's going to be a certified MD and with, if the ancestors have anything to do with it, she'll open her own practice and provide affordable health care to her community. So without any further ado, let's give our young sister Shakina, or believe her name is, yeah, if I'm pronouncing it right. Elise, sorry, I'm still on Shakina. Elise Shelton is the young lady's name. Elise, there's a hyphen, but I believe it's Elise. Elise Shelton. Alright, that's it and that's all for the articles. And now I'm going to dive into some commentary. I'm not going to hold you too long with the commentary because, like I said, I had been gone for like several weeks, close to a month now. So I think my last upload was like late May, maybe early June. Not sure. I got to check the episode log, but I've been on a hiatus. But I think it was just a few weeks before, few days or a few weeks before the Juneteenth celebration, and which is a spoiler alert, my speaking point. So as we now know, or we should know, we just recently had Juneteenth. And Juneteenth, if you did not know, so Juneteenth is basically a ceremony or a celebration commemorating the emancipation of slavery. It's federally recognized on June 19th. That's where the 10th comes from. But celebrations kind of start, as early as 13th through the 19th. Sometimes in some areas all the way to the end of the month. Like some places, depending on where we're at in America, they'll go all the way to like the 30th. But it's basically commemorating the announcement. Keyword announcement. So it started in Galveston, Texas, where they announced to the rest of the South that, slavery had been abolished. Slavery had been abolished for months before the announcement, air quotes, came out. Meaning slavery was over, and, basically what we're celebrating is the slaves getting the memo. Like slavery had been abolished. There was like places in Virginia where they were still on plantations getting whipped. So like the slave owners, they already knew, just the slaves themselves. So they had to send somebody out to remind them, hey, y'all know slavery's over. Y'all can't keep doing that. Y'all know that, right? To not be, whipping slaves and holding them forcefully against their will. So that was the day what Juneteenth was all about. The day they had to let the slaves go. Like slavery had already been abolished prior to the announcement. They announced it sometime later on in the 10th, in some, history doesn't say exactly which day. You can do your Googles. There's no exact day when, the announcement, the official call went out. And so said all that to say, not to crap in nobody's cornflakes. The only reason why I kind of stayed away from it too is because I kind of already did a deep delve into it years ago. Not a couple, a long time ago when I first started this on, why Juneteenth is such BS. But this is basically a remixed topic. Yeah, so it's not really a big deal. They're giving us crumbs, they're just letting us have our party, but primarily in our community, we celebrate it as an homage to we survived. Everything y'all threw at us, everything y'all did to us, we survived. We survived everything y'all did to us and everything, that y'all set in front of us. We ate that. That's why we celebrate it. It's not the emancipation of the quote unquote slaves, because we're not still free. Slavery never ended, it just changed forms. We don't have any real freedom. And they constantly keep showing us we don't have any real freedom when one of us steps out of line. And we're under the false pretense that money buys you freedom. Money just buys you liberty. When they get ready to show you who you are, you get your when they're ready to give you that Negro wake-up call, no amount of money is going to save you from their onslaught. The only way you get saved from the onslaught is when you already consciously make the decision to be free. When you have the personality of, I have some nice stuff, but I'm still going to be who I am, and if y'all strip me away, I don't care. I was who I was before I had all this stuff, and I'll be who I am after y'all take it away. And I'm not going to stop telling the truth. You can unalive me if you don't want to. If you have to have that personality for them not to come for you. If you don't have that mentality, then they're going to punish you. They're going to make your life a living hell if you're not ready to, die on truth. If you don't have that resolve to die on truth, they're going to torture you. Because there's only a select few that can pop ish in our community who have been getting money since that they ain't never came for, because they know it's just it's a lost cause. They're not going to crucify him. They can't crucify him. They can't make him buck dance because they ain't scared of him. But if you're fearful to lose your big house, to lose your fancy car, they're going to punish you. And like I said, it's only a select few in our community that's not afraid. It's demonstrated on countless occasions. They're not afraid of them, and those are the people that they don't come for. But Juneteenth it's not really a big deal. It's really just bait and switch, because that's them giving us some breadcrumbs to deflect about what we should be having. What's owed to us is reparations. We don't care about federally recognized holidays at this point. They don't do nothing for us to be able to take off work. Well, hey, Juneteenth, Like, we don't care about that. Let's keep it funky. That's just, like, if you remember, like earlier I said when I was talking about the young lady having her brand at Target, the retailers have locked in on our excessive need to be acknowledged, and they'll promote the heck out of Juneteenth and Black History Month. All these faceless corporations, they'll promote that, to generate merch because they know we're going to go out and buy it and support it, to commemorate it. But should we be celebrating Juneteenth? No, we shouldn't be celebrating Juneteenth. All these thousands of dollars that we have the Juneteenth block parties and celebrations, we could be funneling into our communities. We should be building institutions. We should be building infrastructures to, allow ourselves to operate autonomously. You know what the word I'm trying to say. From this system. But yet we spend all this money to say, here, look at me, we're celebrating Juneteenth. Like, we're free, and we're not free. We celebrating a fallacy. We're not free. They can at any given time tell us to get in line, and there's nothing we can do about it. So all these thousands of dollars that we spend on celebrating Juneteenth, we could be like building infrastructures, building our own schools, building our own grocery stores, building our own communities, housing communities, like affordable housing. Like, we can legit on all the thousands of dollars we spend on these Juneteenth celebrations, we could be like legit buying in the block, renovating old houses, buying duplexes, building our own housing projects. You know what I mean? Fixing up, dilapidated HUD projects all over the world. In America. I mean, instead of celebrating Juneteenth, that's just what I feel. Because, like, from the advertising to the merch, that's like millions of dollars. And so it doesn't really need to be acknowledged. Because it's actually just kind of making us look foolish, us celebrating something that hasn't actually happened. We haven't gotten like true freedom. It sure beats getting whipped on a plantation, but we getting psychologically whipped. We getting financially whipped. So all we've obtained is the right to work amongst white people and eat amongst white people. Like, that's what we was fighting in the civil rights era, to segregate the lunch counters and, the school systems. And when we did that, it came at a price. We had our own. And we was all, we was financially secure. There was like homeowners by the droves in our community. Like, almost every person owned their own home. There were very few people in our community before, integration, before we integrated, that lived in apartments. There's like, the vast majority of us was like homeowners. the vast majority of us was married. There wasn't too many people that were single in our community. When we integrated, white women, they made that feminist movement and got our sisters' minds into it. And then they created the welfare to separate, take the black man out of the home and give her money and make her not need him to protect her. And she got money and so when integration came, that was pretty much the downfall of our community economically. Because we had our own resources. Some people felt they were impoverished, but they owned their own house. The house might have been dilapidated and constantly needed fixing up, but it was theirs. You know what I'm saying? They might have had only enough, money for, they might have just been eating scraps every night, but, they wasn't on food stamps. You know what I'm saying? Which was actually created for white people, and I'll do a deep delve into that a little later, sometime before the end of summer. But yeah. So definitely shouldn't be celebrating Juneteenth, and 4th of July is right around the corner. And we definitely don't need to be celebrating 4th of July. We spend all these hundreds of dollars on fireworks. A few of us, it never ceases to amaze me. Fashion-wise, it's red, white, and blue, red, white, and blue. We'll sit up there and spend, all this red, white, and blue merch. Us wearing the banner of the oppressor instead of investing that same money and that same energy into uplifting and edifying and doing for self. So these are basically what I'm saying. 4th of July and Juneteenth are token holidays. And we should be over tokenism at this point. Don't give us tokenism. Don't give us false sentiments. Give us what you owe us. Give us the reparations. Don't keep on spinning it and deflecting it and, just shimmying away from us. Give us the money. We don't want acknowledgement. We don't want you, being the cool white guy. Well, I let my people, they don't have to work on Juneteenth if they don't want to. We don't want that. We want the money. We want the reparations. If you're going to champion the cause to show that you're a progressive white person, a progressive Asian person, a progressive Italian person, a progressive whatever, if you're truly progressive and you live here in America, what you would do is you'll utilize your resources and your talk show, your podcast, your TikToks, and launch something for reparations to black Americans. That's what you would do. Not give us Juneteenth, not give us, 4th of July. I'm 50-50 on black history because we do need to celebrate our accomplishments and let the world know that we are the ish, and everything that we have in this country is because we built it. So I feel black history does it, we're split in our community. A whole lot of our scholars say that's stupid and we shouldn't be celebrating, and there's some that say we should. And I'm kind of on the side to say we should celebrate, Black History Month because, the world does need to know how great we are, especially here in America. The architects need a day to, celebrate. There wouldn't be an America if it wasn't for us. We fought in the two wars that um, established America as a sovereign nation. Like, if it wasn't for us, there would be no America. So to all the immigrants that currently live in America, you're welcome. Black Americans did that for you. No matter where you come from in the world, you couldn't have a place to immigrate to had it not been for us fighting in the wars and building America. So I don't want to hear that from immigrants talking about, well, I came to this country with nothing and didn't speak the language, and you got treated like a human being. That's what you got. You got treated like a human being. A poor human being, but you got treated like a human being. You wasn't whipped and beaten. You know, you wasn't raped. You might have got some. You might have got some shit pay. You might have got called a few derogatory slurs, but you wasn't treated like we was treated. And we built this country. We built it. You could not thrive in America if you're an immigrant, if your ancestors were Irish settlers, were Polish settlers, came from Ireland, came from Germany, came from Scotland, came from wherever. Y'all owe y'all's existence to us. Yeah. And I ain't gonna just keep on going in on the Europeans. People in the Middle East, they be coming over here acting stanky. Our people, our brothers and sisters, like, come from Africa. Like I already established, like, the majority of us did not. You know, the majority of us was already indigenously located here. You know, I at some point do a deep delve into, you know, Gullah Geechee culture and, you know, the Delta and all that of the original man in, you know, the original people, indigenous tribe of America, the true ones. But yeah, y'all be coming over here acting stanky from you know, Jamaica and parts of Africa, looking at us like, you know, we're being lazy and whatever you think about us in y'all's mind when y'all be coming over here. Haiti, Barbados, Grenada, but, you know, Trinidad, Ethiopia. Yeah, y'all be acting stanky, man. Y'all be acting super stanky. And we built this country. So all these people, all these immigrants, y'all should be, and most of y'all immigrants is dominating social media. So y'all should dedicate y'all's platforms into, you know, launching I'm trying to think, PSAs and launching content where you're educating everybody about, you know, reparations and why Black Americans deserve it, instead of, you know, coming over here acting like we're the problem. Because how can you consider yourself American if you're okay with the system that doesn't pay the original American? Everybody's gotten paid except the people that built America. And we keep on getting curved because we tripping off of, like, you know, nationality and, you know, all these little idiosyncrasies and misnomers. Like we getting, you know, they just like wordplay and just like Jedi mind tricking us out of the reparations. But now, not to say, there are actually some of us that got it. You know, some people, you know, filed individual reparations in the 60s and they turned around and gave it right back to their oppressor. They took that reparation money and put it right back into the system that took it from them in the first place. But as a nation, as a people, we deserve it. So there is ways to get it individually if you're diligently proving your lineage, you know, proving, you know, you were enslaved at some point. And you don't have to be an African slave to get the reparations. You know, because they enslaved the indigenous people that lived here. So they curved us twice. Because them people on them reservations, they're not the indigenous natives. They're actually $5 Indians, white people. They descend from $5 Indians, like white people, you know, at one point they was allowed to, you know, purchase native ancestry for $5 to say they were Native Americans for the sum of $5 to avoid paying taxes. And a whole lot of them on these air quotes reservations are descendants of them, not the actual natives of this land. So a whole lot of them didn't come here. They came from other places. Essentially, they Eurasians, not Native Americans, which is a phrase that was coined by the powers that be. But yeah, this land is rightfully ours on several different accounts. On that account, this land is rightfully our land on the account for the ones that did come over here on slave boats. So we are the original owners of this land, and y'all been ducking the bill long enough. It's time to pay up. You know, stop giving us these token holidays and give us what you owe us. And then we got to stop, you know, going for the okie dokie and letting them get away with it. Because we want acceptance so bad that we let them, you know, treat us any kind of way, talk to us any kind of way. Basically, we be sitting up there letting these people play with us in our face. Yeah, we support, you know, Juneteenth, and we support Black History Month, and we don't want you to, we're not mad that you support it, but like, you know, if you truly progressive, if you truly believe in everybody should be treated equal, then support, you know, the campaign for reparations. Like, y'all should be the immigrants, you guys should be the biggest voices of reparations, because us having reparations would benefit you the most. Us having our own neighborhoods and things that we truly own as a people, that would benefit y'all the most. Because guess where they send y'all anyway? They send y'all, when y'all first come over here, they send y'all to black neighborhoods anyway. Because white people don't want to accept you. So you wouldn't get, you know, scrutinized and made fun of in our school systems. If we had our own schools, you wouldn't get ostracized and made fun of, you know, in our grocery stores. You wouldn't get mocked and ridiculed in our neighborhoods because you are, of our blood, of our lineage anyway. You got African DNA in you. Palestinian brothers and sisters. Turkish brothers and sisters. Pakistani brothers and sisters, Indian brothers and sisters. Like, yeah, y'all got African lineage in y'all, so yeah, you would benefit immensely from the American blacks having reparations. Asian people, y'all would benefit immensely from us having reparations. Low income white people, y'all definitely will benefit immensely from us having reparations because other white people ostracize you. The wealthy, the working and elite class white people ostracize you and treat you like gutter trash. But yeah, so that's just what I want to end on. I had tons more. Like I said, I've been gone long. I want to touch on a few more things, but I think I'll save it for my next upload in a few hours. So this is technically the Friday weekday upload for the Narrator podcast, but I've been gone for so long. But I'm trying to get back. Yeah, this episode is a wrap. Join me in a few hours from now. I should have my my full episode uploaded probably, this evening, 6, 7, 8, 9, something like that. Yeah, join me next time for another edition of the Narrator podcast all week. I've been gone so long, I might do a weekday edition on Sunday as well, just to get my legs back, to get me used, because I've been gone for so long, to get me used to broadcasting, as I was I was doing before I went on my little hiatus. The first time was because of injury, and then the second time, just now coming back, because I had some family stuff going on. But yeah, so yep, this episode is definitely a wrap. Join me a few hours from now. Support the Narrative podcast wherever you get your podcast information from. Download this episode and all previously recorded episodes of the Narrative podcast wherever you get your podcast information from. And just keep in mind, I do weekly uploads and weekend uploads. Weekend, usually Saturday or Sunday. Technically Friday is a weekend too if you want to get technical, but Yeah, for the full episodes, weekend episodes. And the difference between the weekday and the weekend episodes, there's more sections on the weekend episodes. So like on my weekend episodes, I break them down into sections. The weekday episodes, I just do articles and commentary. And then I got like quite a few more sections during the weekend episodes. That's really the only difference between the formats. I'm nearly 400 episodes in. You can just go through my episode log to see the difference for yourself. I'm not going to break down the differences. But thank you all for listening. Join me again later on this evening for a full weekend episode of the Narrator Podcast. But this one is officially over. Thank you all for listening. I'm back, y'all. Halsey Allen and the Narrator Podcast. So, what else do I got going on? I've written a book, and that's another reason why I've been gone too, because like on Thursday I was going to do an upload, but I had started drafting on my new book of poetry, and so I just lost time. So I had started drafting around 7, 8, and went all the way up to midnight just drafting, working on stuff, concepts and ideas and book covers and all that. I lost track of time, and then I was like, oh, it's already midnight. I don't want to start already midnight and do an upload. So yeah, that's why Thursday didn't happen. And really Monday and Tuesday too, because I was just like going through it. I was like, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. But you know, from here on, I'm gonna use the R.I.P. Carl Weathers. I'm gonna try to adapt that philosophy when he portrayed Apollo Creed. There is no tomorrow. There is no tomorrow. So more uploads of the Narrator Podcast coming your way. Keep on supporting. But yeah, I got a book of poetry I would like you all to help me support. It's available on poetizer.com. It's called The Black Card, written by me, Halsey Allen. And what that book is about, it's about a book of poetry that encompasses us as a people. It's about, a collection of 30 poems that, reflects us as a people, who we are as a people, in our entirety. Definitely go check that out. It'll make a good casual read. A good gift, coffee table read. It's on poetizer.com. If you're unfamiliar with poetizer.com, what that is, it's a platform dedicated towards the novice writer, specifically those that would like to write poetry, but it's open to all forms of writing, short stories, even essays, novels, whatever brand of writing you like to do, that's the community for you. But they specifically focus on poetry. It's in the name, Poetizer. So, and what they have is a feature that will allow the users of that community to turn their work into a book. And so that's what I did in that community. I turned some poems into an actual book, and the name of the book is called The Black Card. Go check that out on poetizer.com, and the way you can do that is to have a virtual online bookstore. So you go on poetizer.com, go into their bookstore, and look for my title written by me, Halsey Allen. They got titles written by everybody in that community. It's a bookstore. It's a virtual online bookstore, and then you just type in the title that you're looking for. I think they got genres and all that. I'm not sure what my genre is. It's been a while since I visited the site since I wrote the book, but check my book out called The Black Card when you go to the online bookstore on poetizer.com and purchase my book, The Black Card. Then also, so like I said, it's an all-comprehensive look about us as a people. You'll enjoy it. It's witty, it's creative, it's insightful, it's inspiring. If you're an original person, you're definitely going to connect with, every piece in that poem. If you're outside of our culture, that's a great way to get enlightened about our culture so you can get a broader understanding of our people and educate yourself. And then just enjoy us as a people. So, go pick the Black Card up today. Poetizer.com. Inside the bookstore on poetizer.com. The Black Card, written by me, Halsey Allen. Purchase your copy of the Black Card today, or get your Black Card revoked. Also support my poetry blog called Halsey's Poetry Corner on poetizer.com, and my address is www.mrhalziesblogs.com. And my tagline is Halsey's Poetry Corner, poetry with a passion, poetry for all occasions. When you read one of my poems, you'll find out just what I mean. And what that is basically amalgamation of random poems that I write spontaneously in the moment. The poems on there don't really have a rhyme or reason. I just write those spontaneously in the moment. I don't contemplate on subject matter. The unique thing about it is they're so intentional and so, detailed focused. You would think that I, kind of drafted them down before I posted them on, the site, but I didn't. I legit just whatever, the first thought that popped into my head, that's what's on the poetry blog. And the poetry blog, although I do have written a lot of poems on there, posted for our people, original people, basically anybody can, read one of them poems and relate to it. And connect with them. So it's really for everybody. You can explore some part of whoever you are as a person. You're guaranteed to find a poem on that poetry blog that you can connect with, that you can relate to. And that's the unique thing about the poems on that blog. And the name of my poetry blog is Halsey's Poetry Corner, and that's on blogger.com at www.mrhalziesblogs.com. And the way you support that is share a poem featured on that blog, or the link to that blog across all social media platforms. So a poem featured on Halsey's Poetry Corner blog, or the actual link to Halsey's Poetry Corner blog, which is www.mrhalziesblogs.com. Share a poem or the link to the poetry blog across, all digital platforms, and the algorithm and all that. So that's how you help, grow that for me. So that's really all I kind of got going on besides the Narrative podcast. And again, download this episode and all previously recorded episodes of the Narrative podcast, wherever you get your podcast information from. Well, that's it, and that's all, y'all. Thank you all so much for listening, and remember to check me out later on this evening for a full episode of the Narrator Podcast, and to keep tuning in on a regular basis because I upload during the weekday as well. And so, let's just do it, man. Become a narrator. Put out positive content. Let's change the narrative about our people and our culture. Just keep on putting out positive content if you're a content creator. But yeah, thanks for listening. This episode of the Narrator Podcast is officially over. Join me again, this weekend and every single weekend and every single weekday, every other weekday for uploads of the Narrator Podcast. Well, I'm Halsey Allen, and I'm changing the narrative one episode at a time. I'm asking you to help me on my quest to do that by becoming a narrator. And while I'm changing the narrative on my end, one social media post at a time, as a narrator, you can help me change the narrative on your end, one social media post at a time. Or did I get that backwards? Let's run that back. So while I'm changing the narrative on my end, one episode at a time, as a narrator, you can help me change the narrative on your end, one social media post at a time. Until next time, Halsey Allen, the Narrator Podcast, signing off. And it's like that.
Listening to the Narrative Podcast with Halsey Allen. The Narrative Podcast is changing the narrative one episode at a time.